Kimiko Guthrie, and this is my debut novel, Block 17. I was inspired to write this story because I've always wanted to write about this aspect of my own family history. Even though it is fiction, it's based on my family's experiences in a Japanese American incarceration camps during World War II. I set it in the present day because I wanted to address it from my own current perspective, and also because unfortunately I was seeing lots of connections between back then and now in terms of continued racial profiling, the kind of demonization of immigrants, and unwarranted surveillance and imprisonment. And I wanted to explore the ways that these things can affect us in obvious but also in insidious, often intergenerational ways. It's also a bit of a love story and a modern day retelling of a Japanese Buddhist myth. So I was just going to read a little bit from it. This is chapter 8 of part 1, which is called Conspiracy Theories. I suppose I should tell you, little one, my given name isn't Jane. On my first day of middle school, I said it to my homeroom teacher as a kind of joke as I stumbled over my old name on her roll sheet. She seemed relieved, and that was it. It was great. Everyone pronounced it perfectly. Jane? Your grandmother repeated when I told her a few weeks later. Are you joking? What is this, the 1950s? Mom's right, Aki, your grandpa told me, looking worried as he set the table for dinner, still dressed in his navy blue work suit. You don't need to be ashamed of your heritage. Ashamed? My heritage? No, not at all. I just don't like the name. Mom stormed into the kitchen and started banging around loudly. On the other hand, dear, Dad called to her, Jane's a perfectly nice name. If she wants to change her name, I don't see what's so wrong with that. Of course you don't, she yelled back from the kitchen. That's because you're a white male, Doug. The next day I came home from school to find Mom on the couch, bent forward, her head cradled in her hands. Once in, she sat up, startled. Her mascara was smeared all around her cheeks, and her eyes wide and scared. I remember thinking they were like a frightened child's. As she sat in front of me later that afternoon, she touched my elbow. You're not serious about changing your name, are you, sweetie? She asked. I mean, I'm all for a little experimentation, having a fresh start even, and I know having a Japanese name can be a little embarrassing sometimes, people not being able to say it right and all. But in this case, well, Akiko is your name. That's who you are, Aki. It suits you. It's too late. Everyone at school already knows me as Jane now, I said, biting into a cracker. So, oh well. Plus, I've never been a fan of my given name. Well, it's a bad idea. Changing your name, she said, her tone tensing as she began pacing the living room. I'm telling you, it really is. When we chose your name, it was for a reason. Did you ever think of that? But you're not even into Japanese things. We barely even eat Japanese food or anything. And what about you? Go by Sue. That's different, she snapped. That's short for Sumiko. I mean, come on, Aki. Jane? When we chose your name, it was for a reason, she repeated. Sorry, Mom, I just like Jane better. What can I say? And like I said, it's what everyone calls me now. Changing it back now would just be weird. But it's not good, she insisted. She stopped her pacing and looked at me, her face twisting strangely. Not for you or anyone. Did Michi use something that night? She always talks too much about things she shouldn't. Aunt Michi? No, I mean, she's told me some stuff, but never anything to do with this. Not at all, I said, laughing. At the time, I think I sincerely thought my new name was a random change, a nice chance to start afresh. Now that I think about it, though, I suppose Mom was right. A late night talk I'd had that summer with Aunt Michi, Mom's older sister, had affected me. After all, being named after a dead baby wouldn't be fun for anyone. Surely you agree. Babies died more often back then, Aunt Michi had assured me that night, speaking softly so Mom wouldn't hear. It happened all the time. Mama wasn't thinking straight. Infanticide is much too strong a word. I get chills when I think of those words now, all these years later. Of course, I shudder to what you must think of me. I don't blame you. So that's chapter 8, just a little brief excerpt. If you're interested in checking out Block 17, I hope you will go to Eastwind Books, which is one of my all-time favorite bookstores. I'm actually a native of Berkeley myself, so I've been going there for a really long time, and they're just a really wonderful local bookstore. So please support local bookstores, and thank you so much for listening.